So I've been using the iPhone 15 Pro as my main phone since its release. I've purchased every new iPhone since the 4S, so all the way from 2011. It's been amazing to see how much has changed since then. The phones have gotten bigger, the screens have gotten better, and the camera bump has continued to grow. I'm recording this video in May, so we're only 4 or 5 months away from the new iPhone. And it's got me wondering, where does Apple even go from here? Every year we used to hear of much needed and wanted upgrades, people requesting things like edge-to-edge displays, faster refresh rate displays, USB-C port, and so on. But this year I haven't really heard much at all. Like, I've not really heard any big requests, any big demands for the next iPhone. So it really has got me thinking, what can we even expect from the iPhone 16? I wanted to share my experience with the iPhone 15 Pro so far, share my favorite accessories and my home screen setup. So of course, one of the big changes this year was going from stainless steel to titanium. I have the natural titanium model here, and I think it looks amazing. It's the first time that I've moved away from a dark colorway and gone for a lighter colored iPhone. And yeah, I haven't regretted my decision at all. I still think it looks incredible. The titanium frame itself makes the device tougher and stronger, but it also makes the phone lighter, and I can definitely tell the difference when holding a stainless steel model next to it. I also feel like it does a much better job of not showing scratches compared to the stainless steel model. I really do like this colorway. I'm hoping that Apple keep it for the next generation of iPhone. I just think the natural titanium, it's a very classy looking color. There's the action button too, which is all new and only available on the Pro models. And to be completely honest with you guys, I actually forget that it's there half the time. I forget to even use it. It's assigned to the camera app for me, but I'm so used to using the camera shortcut on the lock screen or swiping that I end up using one of those rather than using the action button. However, that doesn't mean it's not a nice addition. I actually think for some people it can be an absolute game changer, as it's basically a button that can be assigned to do anything. It's funny because we've seen Android phones with buttons like this for years now. A button that can be customized, can do whatever you like with. So it's really nice to see that Apple have also made the same switch. If you need the silent switcher, you can keep it as a silent switcher, but of course you can enable silent mode just from the control center. So replacing that silent switcher with an action button that just has a lot more capability makes a lot of sense. I have a bunch of accessories that I use with my iPhone. First up is of course the case. Since Apple did away with their leather cases, I have this one from Nomad, who are also sponsoring this video. I've had this case on the phone since release. This is specifically the modern leather case in the rustic brown colorway. You can see how it's aged since I've had it. I think it looks incredible. The color as well looks downright classy. The buttons are made from an anodized aluminium and give a nice feedback rather than feeling mushy. The bumper around the case is super durable and holds up so well against scrapes and marks. And there's a camera lip to protect the camera too. I also recently got the Stand 1 Max. I have actually two of them. I have one for my desk setup and one for my bedside table. It's a 3-in-1 charger that can charge everything all at once, your iPhone, AirPods, and an Apple Watch. The iPhone charger is MFI certified too, so it can deliver the full 15 watts of wireless charging. The Apple Watch charger is also a fast charger, not something you see in all-in-one chargers usually. This charger is super clean, made from solid metal and glass, weighing nearly 2 pounds. It's very premium and very classy. Make sure to check out Nomad. I know many of you will already be aware of Nomad and how high quality their products are, so it's great to have them sponsor the channel. When it comes to power on the go, I have this Anker power bank. It's fairly compact and convenient. I particularly like the fold-out kickstand. Ideal when traveling and I want to prop my phone up, just a nice way to have some additional battery life. When it comes to my home screen setup, it is fairly simple. I don't really want to overcomplicate it. I have the clock widget for the different time zones and the calendar widget just to see where I am in the month. One major change that I have made with my iPhone and with my Mac is that I've completely switched to Arc. Arc is a browser replacement. It replaces Safari for me completely. And obviously with iOS, you can actually change the default browser as well. So I have Arc as my default browser. Arc has just completely changed the way I browse the internet. I feel like it makes a lot of sense. To be fair, on the iPhone, I feel like it doesn't make that much difference, but the reason I have it on the iPhone is because it syncs all of my history with my MacBook. So on my Mac, I think Arc is just one of the best browsers you can get right now. And being able to have the history and the tabs across both devices just makes a lot of sense. But yeah, Arc is probably the biggest change on my iPhone. Everything else is fairly simple. So on my second screen, I have my Whoop widget, sleep tracker, Tick widget, some other apps that I use, and then another page with some apps, and that's it. Anything else that I need, I usually just swipe down just to find it. I also don't use my phone as much as you might think. So because I'm sitting at a computer all day, I don't really need to use my phone. And a phone for me is very much a tool. Having an iPhone is very much a tool. This is designed to aid my life, not take over my life. So of course, I do fall into the habit of browsing Instagram and TikTok, but I've tailored those feeds to be more sort of like creative and educational, you could say, in a way. Of course, I do get the odd trashy content here and there. Who doesn't love some trashy content here and there? But I do try and just use my phone mainly as a tool just to make my life better. By far though, the most used feature on my iPhone is the camera. It's actually pretty incredible that Apple have turned the iPhone into what I think is probably one of the best cameras in the world. And there's a few reasons as to why I think that. Number one, you have a huge viewfinder to see what you're shooting. Number two, you have a super fast processor to manage the high resolution images and video. Number three, it can shoot both raw images and ProRes log video. Number four, you can edit all of this right on the device, not having to offload the footage onto anywhere else. And finally, number five, all of that in a very slim package that can easily slip into a pocket or bag so you can carry it with you at all times. When you think about it properly, it's actually absurd how much tech there is in this device, in this slim package. Imagine telling someone 20, 30 years ago that you'd have a device like this that can fit in your pocket, that's like edge-to-edge display, has an amazing camera and can do all these different things. Like, they would just think it's absolutely wild. I feel like we've become so used to incremental updates year on year that when we actually look at the bigger picture, it's amazing how much progress devices like the iPhone have made over the last 5 to 10 years. The images that this thing produces astounds me continually, and the one thing that always surprises me is when I share images on Twitter or Instagram, people ask whether I shot it on an iPhone or on my mirrorless camera. Many people just can't tell the difference. Now, of course, if you're into photography and have experience with pro-level cameras, you might be able to tell the difference. But let's be honest, most people haven't really dealt with a mirrorless camera or DSLR camera. They're just seeing images online, so many others really can't tell the difference. I've been carrying my mirrorless camera less and less due to how much more convenient it is to simply use my iPhone. I shoot all of my pictures in ProRAW. The main benefit of shooting ProRAW is that it strips the images of the processing that Apple likes to apply. You get the full 48 megapixel pictures, and it gives me the ability to tweak the look of the image in an app like Lightroom. I feel like removing the processing that Apple likes to apply to the images actually makes them look more like they've come from a professional camera. I then slap on one of my presets and bam, my shots are just instantly transformed. If you are interested in knowing how I set up my camera and how I edit my images, I have a dedicated video on it on my channel. I don't shoot in portrait mode or really use any of the camera modes at all, to be honest. But what impresses me is how the iPhone camera has very natural focus fall off, giving you those sort of nice blurry backgrounds. I get asked a lot if I'm shooting in portrait mode, and that's not the case at all. It just naturally does a good job of separating the subject from the background. When it comes to shooting video, I wouldn't go as far to say that it's as good as a mirrorless camera, but we aren't really that far off. No doubt that the iPhone is king when it comes to video quality from a phone. With the introduction of ProRes log as well, you can shoot super high quality video that can be color graded to look a certain aesthetic. If you ever feel like the iPhone isn't good enough to shoot high quality video, you're just completely wrong. I feel like especially when it comes to YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram content, the iPhone is like the perfect device for it. There are YouTube channels out there, but all they do is shoot on an iPhone. And that's something I've noticed Apple try and do with their marketing efforts when it comes to the camera on the iPhone. They don't necessarily just go into specs, even though the specs of the cameras on these things is incredible. They don't really care about that. All they care about is giving you the tools, giving you the device to be able to capture moments, to be able to shoot content so that you can share with other people, so that you can capture important things in life. And I think that's what they do really, really well with the iPhone. They're not just coming out saying like, oh, you know, this many megapixels or this aperture or whatever. Now, of course, they do that in their launches and stuff, but if you actually see their advertising efforts and stuff, they're not listing a billboard with like the specs of the camera. They're showing what you can shoot with the camera, especially when you see videos or photos, and then they have that little bit of text where it says shot on iPhone. So Apple know what they're doing. It's very, very smart, and I think it's a great way to advertise what the iPhone is capable of. Now, what's next for the iPhone 16? So obviously, like I said, I haven't really heard much about people demanding this, that, and the other for the next iPhone. But where I do think we definitely need to see a huge improvement is Siri and just anything sort of AI related. When Siri first came out, it was incredible. I feel like everyone thought it was amazing. Crazy having a voice assistant that can do all these things on your iPhone, but that was a long time ago now. And voice assistants and AI sort of tools and things like that have just gone way past Siri. Like Siri's actually terrible now.
I want a little bit more emotion in your voice, a little bit more drama.
Got it. Let's add some drama. Once upon a time, in a world not too different from ours, there was a robot named Byte.
No, ChatGPT. I really want maximal emotion, like maximal expressiveness, much more than you were doing before.
Understood. Let's amplify the drama. Once upon a time, in a world not too different from ours, there was a robot named Byte. Byte
Actually, can
was
you do this in a robotic voice now?
initiating dramatic robotic voice. Once upon a time, in a world not too different from ours, there was a robot named Byte.
Apple never seemed to like using the word AI. They were very much sort of set on just using machine learning, the term machine learning, but it seems like they've now changed. In the latest iPad unveiling, they used the word AI a lot.
AI.
I think they've now realized that the term AI has just been adopted by everyone. Everyone sort of knows what AI is, what it can do, what it's capable of doing in the future. And I think Apple are very much leaning on that now. So I think if we can see big sort of AI improvements, AI tools, AI services on the iPhone, it could completely just wipe out a lot of AI tools that are already out there, especially devices. This year we've seen a couple of new dedicated AI devices like the Humane AI Pin and the Rabbit R1. These are dedicated devices where all they're really designed to do is to use AI to help you in everyday stuff. But they haven't been very well received. They're pretty terrible and the pricing for them is, just all over the place. They just don't seem all that useful just yet. Now I'm sure in the future, as they get updated, as the hardware and the software gets better, they'll be more useful. But Apple can easily make all those devices completely useless if they implement the same sort of features into the iPhone. Now imagine that stretch to the Apple Watch, imagine that stretch to the AirPods. Apple has the perfect ecosystem here to basically create the ultimate AI sort of device ecosystem, you could say. They can really just sort of beat everyone in the market quite easily. Another upgrade that I could see them doing is to the cameras, but there are physical limitations when it comes to the cameras. Now, generally, to make better quality pictures and videos, you need bigger sensors, so bigger physical sensors in the device to capture more information. But when you have bigger sensors, you also need bigger lenses. And because of that, the camera bump could get even bigger. Let's be honest, the camera bump is already quite big on a device like this. It's almost sometimes a bit too big, making some MagSafe accessories not really fit properly on the device, on the iPhone. Now, I'm biased because I love photography and video. I'm obsessed with the camera on the iPhone. Like I said, it's my most used feature. So I would like to see it get bigger, even if it does make the camera bump bigger, even if it does make the phone thicker. I just want the best camera that you can get in a phone. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't think Apple are going to do anything crazy. I feel like they're probably going to do more sort of software upgrades rather than any major camera upgrades. I do think that the iPhone 16 is just going to be another incremental upgrade, but I'd love to be proven wrong. Maybe we see something huge. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.